Greetings, growers from around the world. Jordan River here, back with more GrowCast, chelated just for your ears. Today, we've got OKCalyxx back on the show. You know him, you love him, he's a great friend of the show. He's got updates on his breeding and his natural farming work, and we also talk about keeping mothers healthy, vegging for extended periods of time, and growing big plants. I know you're going to love this episode, but before we jump into it, shout out to AC Infinity. That's right, ACinfinity.com, code GrowCast15 to get your savings on the best grow gear that you can get your hands on. My favorite grow tents. They've got lights, fans, pots, scissors, everything you need. It's at ACinfinity.com. They've got grow kits. If you need to get started growing, it's the best way to get started, in my opinion. Go grab a 3x3 grow kit or a 4x4 grow kit. Use code GrowCast15 and get that whole setup delivered to your door. Everything you need to get started. It's all there at ACinfinity.com. Plus, they've got lots of new and great items like their new spray technology that they've released. They've got a new CloudForge humidifier. Now they have green lights that you can put in your tent that you can use as work lights during your dark period. AC Infinity has it all. Code GrowCast15 at ACinfinity.com. That's what you need to do. That's how you get the savings. And grab the best tents in the game, the best fans in the game, and so much more. Thank you to our partners, AC Infinity. All right, let's get into it with OKCalyxx. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Hello, podcast listeners. You are now listening to GrowCast. I'm your host, Jordan River, and I want to thank you for tuning in again today. Before we get started, as always, I urge you, share this show. Send this episode to a grower. We really appreciate you guys spreading the show. It's the best thing you can do to help us out. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening and go to growcast.com, the brand new website, for everything. The beginner's guide, the seeds, the membership, the classes, it's all there. And we are so grateful for all of you, especially the members, for making this possible. We are into 2025 now, folks. Welcome to the new year. Very excited about all the content and offerings that we have coming this year. This is going to be a huge year for GrowCast 2025. We're kicking it off right this year with some new friends, with some old friends, and even a bear, as they say on the television. Today we have a longtime friend of the show. You know him, you love him. He's back. OKCalyxx is here. What's up, OKCalyxx?
Hello, everybody. What's up, GrowCast land? Brother Jordan, glad to talk to you again.
It's good to talk to you again, and we will talk about everything today, including your amazing in-person education. But right off the top, I need to say here, I think we maybe did one episode on this show since the Autumn Immersive, and I have to say just again, man, in case I didn't say it enough last time, that class was so amazing. You did such an incredible job. I'm so honored to be able to work with you, man. I just want to give you your props on this show for not only throwing an amazing class, not only being an awesome educator, but just a great person in the cannabis industry, man. Like you are, like Farmer John says about us, which I'm so flattered by. You are exactly who you portray yourself to be in real life, and you always follow through. And I just want to thank you again, dude. That class was incredible, Calyxx. Thank you, man.
Well, I appreciate those kind words. That's very nice of you, and I agree. That was so much fun getting to meet everybody, getting to talk, getting to teach, answer questions, and I just get to design it my way. And, you know, that's one of the talks I did at Matt Powers. It was the Our Soil. The next, not the last, Our Future is going on right now. Our Soil was the last one. I did a talk on doing natural farming your way. And it's just an idea of, I'm going to look to other people's ideas for inspiration, but then I got to put the books away. I got to put the notes away. And I just got to allow what pleases me and what interests me and what I think is going to be great. And I follow that path. You know, it's got to the point where if I like it, I know it's going to be good because I'm passionate about it and I care about this stuff. And I know what people like because I've taken the organic path from knowing nothing to where I am right now, you know? And so people meet me along that path
Right.
in a lot of different places, and there's just so much to talk about. And it was a great time. I can't wait to do it again. It's going to be even better this year, believe it or not, man. We're tweaking and we're refining and we're going to make it great.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it a little surreal that people now want to travel across the country just to come and hear you speak on that? Is that a little bit weird to you, man?
Yes. So that happened last time at our first Autumn Immersive. I had a feeling like, okay, there'll be maybe some Arkansas, Texas, couple guys like that. But man, we have people from on the edges of the America coming to.
Yep.
Yes.
Maryland.
They were all over. They're really all over the United States. They just came to our beautiful little land out there. And when you told me how far people had come, that's when I actually got a little nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to waste people's time.
It's
I
true.
don't want to waste your hard earned money. I don't want to waste all the effort you put into getting here. I want it to be freaking great. When you leave, I want you to be like, golly, that was well worth my time and money.
It was the best received class I've ever done, man. And we do some amazing classes. Like
Yeah,
we
you do.
really try to deliver for our people. And all, to be clear, all of our classes have a unique offering, but Calyxx, I've never seen so many happy people. Like that was
Yes.
insane.
Heck
People
yeah. Heck yeah.
loved it. So you delivered, man.
Heck yeah.
Listen, we don't need to schmooze the whole time. I did need to thank you again. And the new tickets for day one are up on the site, growcast.com, if anybody is interested. But what's been going on in your world, man? What's been going on in the farm since last we spoke?
Well, we got a really good snow about 3 or 4 days ago. Got about 6 to 8 inches and a good snowball throwing snow, but there's still some snow on the ground. It's been quite cold. Every plant I think got pretty much frostbit enough to where there's nothing in the garden above ground that's really alive and doing anything. I'll have some crop cover. I'm going to grow a lot of red clover this year. Every time I get like a crop cover mix, that I'm always impressed with that beautiful, bright maroon, cherry red that red clover will put off for you on the flowers when they really start to bloom. So I like to have like one no-till bed just full of red clover. I've already got the red clover. I got about 2 pounds of it. So I am going to do it. But whenever February gets through, I'll start putting some seed down for, just to get some things growing. It might be crop cover. It might just be some lettuce seed that I've got that I know I'm never going to use. And you throw that out as crop cover, let it grow up, chop and drop later on. But right now, man, we are freezing cold in Oklahoma. We've been chilly, so there's not a lot to do, man. What I'm dealing with right now is my JLF being froze up, and I still have to water my cannabis plants, and my JLF is outside in barrels. So I've had to this last 2 weeks. I have kept about 5 gallon buckets of JLF in my gasoline alley, my shed,
Indoors.
and indoors because it's frozen. I have to chip it and pour hot water into a bucket, and work it out. I would had to do that before, but not this time. I'm prepared and ready. But all I'm doing is watering my indoor cannabis plants. We'll talk about those here in a bit. All I'm doing is watering those. But I'm preparing. I'm prepping right now, man, for
Right.
spring. I've already got my seed starter humidity dome trays, got those out just the other day, looking at how many I've got, been looking at all the seeds I have, what seeds I'm going to order, trying to think about my garden and really what I want to grow this year. Often I grow a lot of just fun, random stuff. And I like that. It's called the English style gardening. There's the French and English, there's all kinds of styles, but English is more like that cottage home look where everything kind of overgrows each other and kind of grows together. Real beautiful. I like that. That French style garden is more separated with edges and definitions and things like that, with rocks and edges and cool stuff like that. But I like that English cottage look where it all kind of grows together. And the cool thing is, everything. It looks like chaos to other people, but your garden, every single native plant that you added, the flowers that are coming up, the fruits that's coming up, and it makes sense to you. And it just it looks real kind of bushy and thrown together. I like that look. That's
cool.
That's what I'll be kind of going for, but more specific in what I'm growing. I like to grow random kinds of tomatoes. I've done this for decades. Just get all kinds of different tomatoes, like early spring festivals where people will bring their own breeds of things.
What do you like? What's really stuck out over the years?
The peppers are always so different. Like this last year, I got a Russian striped pepper. Then I kept the seeds from it. It starts off a light green, and then as it matures, it goes into striped blood red color, and then it finishes with this dark purple and yellow. And it's just amazing to watch it change. It's really cool. So I grew those out last year. That was a fun one. And then I got getting all the different tomatoes. I always interested in what's called an ox heart tomato. They have like flat sides instead of a nice round shape. It has these flat like stop sign.
Ox heart tomato. Oh wow.
Yeah, really fun. They can get beefy.
I'm looking at
and
one.
tasty and real cool looking. I like the looks of those. I grew some San Marzanos last year. They were okay. I wasn't impressed with maybe I had my hopes too high, but my other tomatoes tasted just as fine. So
They're for sauce. Those San Marzanos are for sauce and not much else, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're quite Roma-y, shape and taste, but nothing bad about them. But it's the first time I had grown San Marzanos, and I got those from those herb festivals here in Jinx and Sand
Nice.
Springs and stuff like that.
Very cool. Yeah, the ox heart looks fantastic. I had a golden, what was it? Golden Delicious? No, that's the apple. There were these yellow ones. God dang it. It's escaping me right now. Golden something. And so much different. Like you said, the taste is so much different. So we should encourage the members to try new plants this year, new veggies.
Definitely. Go with tomatoes, peppers. Those are always fun to get into. I always like to have cherry tomatoes around because they always have tomatoes on them. The big tomatoes, you'll have a harvest and then you wait a week or two to get another one. Cherry tomatoes, you got 2 or 3 plants of those, you'll always have some tomatoes to eat on. I like taking basil, 1 leaf of basil, take a cherry tomato, wrap that sucker up and eat it all. And it's good.
It's true. That is the way to do it. Absolutely. A little balsamic in there.
Oh, yeah.
So you're preparing. It froze over this year. Doesn't always freeze over in Oklahoma. So that probably changes things a little bit for you, your outlook and what you can be doing right now. But one thing you did tell me is that you're not flowering indoors right now. What's going on in your indoor grow and this multi-month vegetation that you've been doing?
Yeah, man. So it's going to be wild. I hope it doesn't become a hassle. That's the one thing I don't like about growing cannabis is when I get it to a state where it becomes a hassle for me to deal with what I've got going on. I want it to be smooth and easy and enjoyable and, wise growing, not just crazy chaotic growing. I had everything going. All my lights and everything were going just fine. I was in veg, light cycle's going right. And then when a week ago, when we got a lot of really cold weather, like we had 4 days of being close to 0, we had highs of like 15. And, that's when you and I were talking on my podcast, the Biodiversity Live with MI Beneficials Rubber Ducky. We were talking about issues during the winter and you described my grow perfectly without knowing it. I've got ice in my trays, I've got warm air up top, cold air on the bottom. My plants are starting to tighten up. You can totally see the leaf structure, just tightening up, doesn't want to get loose looking, starting to get some discoloration of the meristem. And, it's just like, yep, that's cold water going in. When I water, it's cold temperatures constantly. They don't like it. And then we came out of that and I started after that show, Jordan, I started watering with warm water.
To counteract it?
Yes. Freaking in 2 days, I saw 3 plants that were totally starting to leaf out again. Just, start to widen up again. They look bigger, when they're healthier like that. So watering with warm water, that kind of helped out a little bit. But when it was cold, I added an extra space heater and I blew a breaker. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so actually I did more than blew a breaker. I actually burnt out one of my plugins. And so now I've got all this work.
Oh, shit. Was it one of those electric ones instead of the metal oil radiator ones? Because those, dude.
That's what we talked about.
Just talked about that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the Biodiversity Live podcast, right? Did I get that?
Yes, you did. Yes.
And go check it out. Thank you so much for having me. That was so fun. And yeah, that was like the culmination of all my battles with cold over the years.
Yes.
That was like
my grow, dude. You nailed it.
That was my diagnosis for a lot of people out there running too cold. It happens. It's happening to me right now.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. You got that out of that, man. And so wait, you've been keeping these things in veg,
dude,
this whole winter?
No, check it out. Yeah. Just check it out. So I grew my summer plants, right? That I bred and got my rosin from. But from those plants, I took clones, and from those plants, I took clones again. And I have the 1st generation clone and a couple of 2nd generation clones of my summer plants because some of them are so good. I'm like, we're going at this again, but I've got to keep them all the way through freaking winter, all the way through early spring. And there's a couple that are about 5 to 6 feet tall right now.
Jesus.
And then there's some, they're maybe 2.5 feet tall. So that's what I'm talking about. If it gets chaotic and out of control, I might just chop way down, like take a whole foot off or something.
Oh, you're so close. What happens if you put out a 7-foot plant?
It's going to be enormous, dude.
It's going to be 25 feet tall.
Yeah,
right?
it'll be
By
huge.
The end of the year?
For real. I had a couple of 14 footers this summer, and they started out June 1st is typically when I put stuff out, but these seeds started like June 15th. And they got all the way to 14 feet tall from June, July, August into September.
Jeez.
And, In October, we started cutting. But yeah, if I put out a 7-foot plant, it'll be obnoxiously out of control. I have nothing that I can reach the top with. It's going to be huge, but it'll be fun. Who knows what I'll do with it? I never know. I don't want to break them over or scrog them out some or, tie them to the fence and bend them over real hard. Who knows?
Well, it's funny. I was going to ask you some advice on like maintaining plants and veg, but it sounds like you're it sounds like you're struggling yourself, which is like, I don't have a ton of advice for people. How do I? This is another version of this question, Calyxx, just in a different perspective, which is how do I keep mothers healthy?
Oh,
That's the
yes.
question I get. It's essentially the same thing, right? You're keeping a plant in a vegetative state for a long period of time and keeping it healthy, and it's difficult.
It's difficult.
I think that taking cuttings over and over is probably your best way to save space.
Yep.
But the problem with that is, Calyxx, you really only want to take cuttings from a healthy plant. And there's two ways to think about it, which is if you're using bottled nutrients, man, it can really be tough with mothers when they get to a huge size in a small container, and the nutrient and water delivery ratio is going to be way, way different. Whereas soil, they're going to run out of food way faster if you're not like constantly amending. But if you put them in a big pot in soil, at least they're going to kind of take what they need, as opposed to being kind of up in the air. What do I do in week 14 of veg? What does my nutrient schedule look like for week 14 of veg? It doesn't exist. You have to just kind of, go by feel at that point.
Yep.
And it just hold it at the higher ends and get plenty of runoff.
Yep.
But yeah, that's, I have that same problem, which is I get procrastinate is the word I'm thinking of. I start procrastinating.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it's out of control, like you said, but
Yeah,
7-foot plants is nuts.
Yeah, and I agree. The one thing that I don't like to do when I'm growing plants is have a long veg because I feel like after a while you're asking for it. It's like like eventually something's coming your way and you're gonna miss something. It's like you're pushing it with these long veggies, and I'd never like to do long veggies, especially indoors. That's
That's
asking
hilarious.
for trouble. Outdoors, I love to veg as long as I possibly can. I even put spotlights out on my plants whenever we get into July and August. Because
Sure.
then I'm controlling actually when it goes into flower. Because I know if I don't have those extra lights, I'm definitely going into flower. But once I push like 2 or 3 weeks past the light cycles outside where there's plenty of darkness for it to stay in the flower, I'll keep the lights on just to let it go into flower or veg longer and longer and get bigger and bigger. And then I know when I take those lights off, that's day one. And I'm not guessing because a lot of times you're like, ooh, it looks like it's going into flower, or I can't tell if it is or not. And then by week 3, you're like, I wonder what week this is. It looks like 2 or 3. And then by week 7 or 8, you're like, I really don't know what week it is. I'm just going by trichomes. But once I turn those spotlights off, I got a day count that's reliable.
I like that. That's very interesting. Kind of push past that transition period to get a little more full vegetative growth.
Yep.
Your style is interesting because you go full term. Do you light dep?
No.
You go full term, you harvest what I assume is a lot of flower,
Yeah.
and then you process what? All of it? 90% of it into rosin?
Every bit of it into rosin.
Every bit of it into rosin. That's very fascinating.
I get everything out of my plants. So like, let me insert a little bit here into that process you said where I grow them, I veg them, and then I have them washed. In between, I'm growing them, but then I flip them into flower. I'm going to breed them with some fem or red pollen, whatever. And then the plant's going to go to term. I'm going to freeze those plants. I'm going to have them washed, get my rosin. And then I'm going to keep the wash water. I'm going to make labs with it. I'm going to keep the washed buds. I bring that back home. I spread it out, let it dry in the sun. And then it gets crunchy and I crush it all up and I get my seeds out. And so I'm saving all of my seeds. I get all of my rosin. I use the crushed up cannabis to go to compost or FP or whatever. But man,
Wow.
I take the skeletons and use them, burn those down, make bokashi, make kanakashi, just whatever. Like every single thing gets used now in the way I grow my cannabis. And I really like it. I really try to just really use everything. Cause I used to be like, if I breed it, then I have to let it hang and dry, crush it up, get the seeds, and I've lost all the medicine.
Right.
But this way you get everything.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Using the plant for all of its purposes. That's really great. I like that attitude quite a bit. But the name of the game is big plants because then you end
Big
up with
plants.
a massive yield. So you got to pull those through, man. You're so close to spring. You got to keep at least
Yeah.
one of those big girls alive. Do it for the content,
Oh, I am.
and
I'm gonna have a big one.
stick her outside and see what happens, man.
Yeah.
What else are you working on as far as local inputs? You talk about using every part of the plant.
Yeah.
I know you're doing some work with some cocoa coir that you're remediating and some sponge wood and stuff. Talk about that, would you?
Yeah. So a few things. We got the first thing we'll talk about is the some FPE I made earlier. Made it from a plant that was called London Pound Cake Cross of Jealousy, and the leaves are just super thick and dark purple, beautiful looking. So anyway, making FPE, I used all the defoliation and just a little bit of labs and water in a 5-gallon bucket. And after about 10 days, when I strained it out, it looked like grape Kool-Aid. It still looks like grape Kool-Aid, and it's just beautiful, dark purple fermented plant extracts and cannabis defoliation. So because I've been using mainly just JLF and fermented plant extracts lately. Like all I've been feeding my indoor girls is JLF and fermented plant extract. Nothing else, man. Just letting it rock and some soil that I made, which we actually, man, we need to talk about this because it's something I like, but can't. We got so much to talk about. But making beautiful fermented plant extract, not using sugars anymore. I find it unnecessary. Still have a great product. The pH drops, everything works. The sugar was really intended just to give like food to microbiology, but man, the microbes chow on the organic matter already. It's like they got food already. You don't need any extra sugar. And I have a very shallow understanding of the scientific basis for all of it. But the facts are the sugar is a food, and the microbes don't need more sugar. There's plenty of food on the green manure material that you use.
So what's the big benefit to not using sugar? Is that more of a, like you're saying, how it affects the soil thing, or is it more of an availability thing? So you can create this thing without having that, having needing access to sugar.
A few things. The first thing is it's used because it's the KNF tradition of making, fermented plant juices, fermented fruit juices, and then making fermented plant extracts. It's kind of just like there's always this use of molasses or sugars, I think, that kind of carried over into it as a recipe. But I find there is no need to add molasses to fermented plant extracts. And I really find there's really not a need for me personally to make fermented plant juices or fermented fruit juices because I don't do the KNF system per se. I take bits and pieces of it and use it with what fits in my environment. But another factor is the cost, man. If you're wanting to use good jaggery sugar, which is a dark brown sugar that still has all the nutrients in it and stuff like that, it's not inexpensive. It's costs money.
Sure.
And the whole principle is not just like Jadam ultra low cost. My principle is no cost, ultra no cost. Like I don't want to have to use money for anything if I don't have to. And so there's no need to use the brown sugar anymore. They test the FPE, like I don't remember the exact pH it's supposed to be, but it's down around 2.5, 3, something like that. That's when you can store it. It becomes useful. A lot of stuff want to grow in that low pH, and you can use it for months to come. But yeah, no sugars, man. I think a lot of people are kind of moving away from sugars.
Yeah, it's interesting because I hear a couple different things. I hear, there's the organic guys that use things like molasses in their soil,
Yeah.
and the theory is it kind of gets the microbes buzzing. But then there's also the organic guys that say, well, I don't add sugars for the same reason that I don't add synthetic fertilizers, right? For one of the same reasons, which is when you add the synthetic fertilizers, plants no longer need to produce those exudates, those sugars, so they stop producing them once they're getting what they need from the nutrient solution. So likewise, these people say, I'm not going to give microbes free money. You know what I mean? You want them to, they want to maintain that relationship and that exchange without messing with it. Now, personally, of course, as we've seen, you can, of course, grow great cannabis using molasses or not using molasses.
Yeah.
But I tend to fall on the other side of the camp. I think it does. Let me just say this. I don't use it often. I don't use it often enough to break that relationship for sure.
Yeah.
And when you use it occasionally, it does seem to kind of make the soil buzz for just a minute. It gives them a little bit of that, a little bit of a stimulant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it definitely will ignite stuff if you put a little
Go
molasses
juice.
or brown sugar in a tea. It'll beef it up a little bit. But yeah, it's definitely nothing wrong with it. Let's not be mistaken. There's nothing wrong with using brown sugar whatsoever. It's just preferences for people's
Yeah.
environments.
And you're not going to go buy it. It would be one thing if you
Yeah.
had. I'm sure if you had molasses, you'd be making all sorts of stuff. I know you.
Yeah, the one thing I do use molasses for is bokashi. I do put a food source on the organic materials so that the microbes can really get after it and
Sure.
multiply on that wheat bran and eat the
Yeah.
wheat bran itself. So the next thing was spongewood. So this is what I've done this year. This is something new I haven't done, but I haven't had my no-tills. This is the second year I've had my big long 30-foot no-tills. I've got three 30-foot no-tills and one about 25-foot no-till that I've been working for 1 year now. It'll be 1 year this coming spring. But I had a beautiful garden in them all. I had lots of good manures in there and just organic materials and compost, and it started off quite well, man. I set them up for victory. But this year, I made so much IMO3 for three 30-foot no-tills and one 25-footer that this year I'm just collecting spongewood and let me slow down. Spongewood is where like there's wood that is so broken down that you grab it and it just poofs almost into powder or it's very crumbly. And if it gets wet, it literally holds 10 times its weight in water and you can squeeze water out of it. But we call it sponge wood because it's broken down and it's ready just to return to soil. And so lots of sponge wood has been gathered and put in every one of my no-tills. And I'm talking, it looks like train tracks. It looks like those black train tired logs that they put on the ground. It's going all the way down the no-tills like that. And what I plan to do is in this early spring is just get out there with a shovel and just kind of break up the wood. I love having woody bits in my gardens and my no-tills because they bring so much life. Those woody bits will have mushrooms growing off of them. Roly-polies like to gather under them, and things just love the woody bits. And the more organic material I can get into my no-tills, the better off my garden is. I do not know what I'm bringing in from out there. I don't know all the biology, good or bad, that I'm bringing. I simply am trying to follow the ways of Mother Nature. That this sponge wood is breaking down. It's a home for all kinds of biology, all kinds of small bugs and animals, and it turns into beautiful dark soil out in the woods. And so I'm just bringing that back and letting Mother Nature do what she does, and directing where I want it to break down into good soil and getting a lot of it put into small spaces. And instead of being spread all over the forest floor, that's the idea. Just following Mother Nature, and I know it will work. It will work every single time. It's going to turn into good soil. A lot of people would be like, "You're bringing in ants and termites." I'm like, "Yes, I am. I can't help it. That's Mother Nature. You're telling me I'm bringing in Mother Nature. Yes, I am bringing in Mother Nature. I can't stop any of that stuff, so I don't try to stop it. I just let them come. I have like plagues of different bugs throughout the year. And I've done it long enough that I've seen them not be there 1 year and be there the next year. Little red clover mites will show up 1 year, won't be here another year. Sometimes, some years my compost has ants all in it. And then some years, no ants whatsoever. And the list goes on for things that show up randomly. But it's Mother Nature. You're not going to defeat it. Just participate, join in, reap the rewards of all her hard work and be wise and use it to your benefit. But that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do less work. Instead of making IMO3 and putting it back in the garden, just use the ingredients and kind of spread them out in the garden and let Mother Nature use them how she wants to. I've been around commercial grows since it became legal in Oklahoma, and I have always seen how much biomass they just throw out. Like the cocoa core or the soils, whatever they're using, often they don't reuse it. And I can understand the wisdom behind it. The wisdom is don't go upriver. And with commercial growing, like if you start with clones, then move those clones into veg, move those veg plants into flower, cut those plants down and be done. Don't try to bring things back. Like, don't try to have flower, re-veg, bring all of that back into your veg room and then move everything forward because you're moving things back up river and things get mixed a little bit. And you want to try to keep things clean and flowy. And so I totally get it. I totally get throwing it all out and starting all over. However, the way my mind works is like there's so much there that could literally be reused and recreated into something that has monetary value. Man, there's no doubt about it. I go out into the woods and gather things that are on the ground, bring them back, put them in a form that's now really useful to an organic grower. And it started with something that has no value basically laying on the wood ground out there in the woods. And then I bring it and create something of value. That's what I'm trying to do with this that I did with this cocoa core. And I know there's been lots of people do this project, try to bioremediate cocoa core and use it somehow. But my idea is just to let it set out in Mother Nature for some seasons. Put some microbes on it, throw some JLFs on it, let it snow, let it rain, let it get weathered real well, and it's organic material. Mother Nature is going to use it to her benefit, whether we want to or not. We can do things to help her out, right? We can try to wash the salts out however we can, roll it around in some compost, just get stuff mixed in there with it to help it remediate. But it will remediate eventually. And so I probably have 300 pounds, 300 pounds of cocoa core set in my backyard.
Used from a cultivation facility, you mean?
That's right, from a commercial grow around here, and I wanna remediate. I want to do the process myself, use it, see that it works, and be like, "Okay, I'm gonna get a truckload of that cocoa core before you have to throw it out." You know what I'm saying?
That's easy, dude. That's awesome. And what a great way to do it, too. Literally putting it out in the wild. If I may suggest one other thing is
Yeah.
make sure you plant something in it when sitting out there in the wild
Great idea, Jordan.
because that's going to get those nutrients moving and grooving. And honestly, dude, just flushing it is, here's the thing I'll say about cocoa. People forget that like cocoa is a fantastic soil substance, as a soil input.
Yeah.
They use it in Hawaii all the time in living soil. You can use it as a straight medium and put nutrients through it. It's a fantastic way to grow because of cocoa's water holding capacity, right? You can do really
Right.
frequent watering events and get these big beefy plants with your bottles. But you can also take that same cocoa and put it into a living soil mix just like peat.
Yes.
As long as you understand cocoa's ability to grab onto certain minerals and release other ones, as long as you understand how that works, and you weather it in certain scenarios, you're going to have a great time. I'm running a soil from SD Microbes. Yeah, dude, it's all cocoa based.
Is it?
Blown away. So it's side by side with Purple Cow, which is a local company that I
Okay.
love. And it's working so good in the earth box.
Awesome.
And it's just made of cocoa, man. I was absolutely blown away. And,
like
and
SD
good call.
Microbes.
Don't sleep on cocoa as a soil input, as a major component of your soil.
No doubt. It's really good. And that's the reason I'm like, I gotta reuse this because it's just good material, like to make a good mulch with, to mix into IMO3s, whatever the case may be. It helps bring a little aeration kind of a feel to things. It brings more mass. I mean, that's the thing about making organics. It's like, I need more material. Like composting. If you're a composter, you know that about 8 to 10 buckets of green manure turn into 1 bucket of compost. And so you got to have material. And that's why I'm talking about bringing in just logs and putting them in my no-tills, and just to get more mass, get more stuff that's going to eventually break down into good soil. Yeah, let me tell you this one, Jordan. It's a chain reaction. So I have to take you a few steps back. This year, the town I live in here near Tulsa, Oklahoma, has got so many new houses and homes that have been built here, and people have moved in, and it's just exploded, that the stores, the markets have had to put locks now because of a city ordinance, have put locks on their dumpsters. And I'm a hardcore dumpster diver. I've done it for years, love dumpster diving. But my main hookup of all organic material was a little supermarket here in town, and I can't get into their dump anymore. It's totally locked. And so this year I could not make enough compost. And we were only able to use what my family was producing, basically. And I would get stuff from neighbors and all, trying to make a lot of compost, but I was not able to make near as much. So I always grow straight out of compost in a gasoline alley. Like, it's just mostly all compost, maybe a little IMO3, but I always use my compost in a gasoline alley, and then I use that to throw out to the summer garden. Didn't have enough compost. So this year, the first time I've done this, went out into the woods. I went to all the big logs and stumps I could find, just like we did out there in the autumn immersive out in Tahlequah, going showing those guys where to look, what to roll back, what to scrape off of a log. I got into all these logs and got some good black material that's just underneath the bark. When you peel it back, those bugs have just chewed that junk up. It's like a bug frass, basically, that the bugs have eaten that nice layer of wood off of that dead tree, just underneath the bark, And then if the log is laying on the ground, roll that log back and just scrape that first inch or half inch of soil. Anyway, I went out and I got me a whole cubic yard of that material from out in the woods. Good native soil, basically, is what it is. And I gathered up bark and sticks and twigs and any leaf that might have mycelium, all over it. Those good looking chunks of stuff you can find. I loaded up my compost barrels with that. Poured a bunch of JLF, labs, just whatever, man. I was just dumping junk in it and was mixing it up, putting some bokashi in there, and I let that go for probably a month and a half. And now that's the soil that I'm growing in Gasoline Alley. Man, I went straight out into the woods, gathered native soil, came back, did a little inoculation, little nutrient work with it. And man, I'm growing my plants in it right now. They're doing just fine. But that's the first time I've actually done that. Like actually said, okay, just going to the woods, just using it and seeing if it works. It totally works. Of course it's going to work.
Man, you got to get yourself a lockpick set. You know what I mean? That's some bull crap to get through. They locked you out of the dumpster.
Oh, the dumpster. Yeah, no doubt, dude. It was terrible. And then, the other thing was a fruit market that I always went to. The guy that owned this fruit market knew my dad, and my dad's family, they owned a fruit market in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. And so he knew me. We had a good connection there, but he just gotten old, and they finally had to sell that fruit market, and they moved their market out onto their land, which is about 4 miles away from the fruit market. But I used to go and just get loads of watermelons, cantaloupes, cucumbers, tomatoes, bushels by the massive boxfuls, because it would go bad before people could get it, because summertime there's a lot of fruit that comes through and people just can't eat it all, so it goes bad. But man, he would help load this stuff for me into my truck, and I would take all of that back and you'd see me chop all that up, put it underneath my plants, and just what is it called, soil lasagna, soil layering, just building soil out there with all that excess.
You're taking that soil lasagna pretty literally with those cucumbers, man.
Totally lasagna, man. You can eat it.
You throw in some pasta sauce,
compost coleslaw, all kinds of good stuff.
That's cool, man. Yeah, and it's a shame, because people like you, if there's just one person in the area, just one person like you is going to repurpose so much waste and take that energy and reclaim that energy, which is really what I care most about, what most people care about is not wasting. But you mentioned something earlier, this jaggery sugar, and I looked it up. This is really cool. I've never heard of this before. This like mineral rich, sap derived,
it's good
pure
stuff,
that's really interesting. So I recommend people look into this. I might have to grab some of this for myself.
That's all Marco is growing uses is jaggery.
I'm going to eat it, though.
Yeah, it's that raw stuff. Get the raw package of sugar sometimes you see. I think that's like what jaggery is.
The GrowCast Grand Pheno Hunt Round 2 is about to begin. Do you have what it takes to take down $1,000 cash and grower glory? Growcast.com/hunt is where you can find more information on the best grow along in the cannabis community. We just crowned our first Grand Pheno Hunt champ. Shout out to Sherm for winning $1,000 and becoming the first ever champion. And now we're doing round 2 of the Grand Pheno Hunt. You do not want to miss out on this amazing challenge. Find more info at growcast.com/hunt. Round 2 is a battle royale, so you can pop any genetics in your collection. Genetics that you've bred, genetics that you've been hanging on to, rare genetics. Come and enter them in our competition and win grower glory, along with $1,000 cash. Shout out to Hygrozyme for sponsoring and putting up the hunt money. Absolutely incredible that they supported this competition, and we did not disappoint. Like I said, it's the greatest grow along in history. You can win $1,000, and this time we're popping seeds on February 15th. That's right, February 15th is the pop date, and you need to be in membership. Find more info at growcast.com/hunt and use code RIVER for 90% off your first month in membership. That gets you in for like $150. You will absolutely love the challenge along with all the other benefits we have going. Growcast.com/hunt. We're making growing fun, making growing easy, and we really want to hype people up this year with our amazing Grand Pheno Hunt Round 2 Battle Royale. Check it out, growcast.com/hunt. Use code RIVER for 90% off your first month's membership. Jump on in there. The seed popping date is February 15th. Even if you can just squeeze in a few plants, make sure to join us. on Grand Pheno Hunt Round 2 starting 2/15. I'll see you there, everybody. Growcast.com/hunt. Special thank you to Hygersheim. Special thank you to all the members. Congrats to Sherm, the first ever champion. And I hope to see you there. Maybe you will be able to dethrone the champ and win $1,000. Growcast.com/hunt. Code River when you jump in membership. See you there, everybody. How's the breeding going, man? I know you've gone deep into blueberry profiles. You've gone deep into cherry profiles. Anything on the horizon for 2025? Any new profiles you're looking for or diving deeper into the old stuff?
Yeah, so a few things. So my original Cherry on a Grande came back to me from, and you have to help me with it, Mad Dog.
Hold on, start that sentence again. I just sparked up a joint.
I heard that. Okay, so at the Autumn Immersive,
yes,
this guy brought me my Cherry on a Grandes, and he won the
Bully Man.
Bully Man, that's it. Sorry.
Yeah, Mad Dog. I'm gonna call him Mad Dog next time I see him, bro. Shout out to Bully Man. He's an awesome guy. Awesome member.
Shout out, Bully Man. Love you, dude. You're a good dude. But he brought me cuts of my original, like, do we call it the Kid Mac cut? He brought me the original Cherry on a Grande that I did all my breeding with. And so I now have six or seven Cherry on a Grandes in Gasoline Alley.
What?
They're about 5 feet tall, man. So this plant is so good. It's so terpy and loud and bright citrus fruit cherry. Just so good. And Cherry on a Grande is Chimera 2 crossed to Very Cherry. Chimera 2 is Beliefs and Very Cherry is Humboldt counties. But the Very Cherry that I used was unbelievably terpy for the fruit side. Terpiest plant I'd ever had was this Very Cherry, and I started breeding it with lots of different things. And we commercially grew the Cherry on a Grande here in Oklahoma for just a short time. And then the grow actually got closed down. But I'm going to be breeding those again and doing a seed increase and making S1s of Cherry on a Grande, the original cut. And then I also had from summer a Cherry on a Grande across the Peach Pistols. I don't even have a name for it, but have you ever had Turple? What is it? Turple 17, I think they call it, something like that.
I've heard Turple Pie.
Something. There's a Turple Terp, and it's orangey, real orangey, maybe a hint of cinnamony back there somehow. You smoked some of it at the Autumn Immersive, the rosin. The Cherry on a Grande across the Peach Pistols produced this very orangey, cherry, citrusy thing. And I just smoked some of it today, but I've kept the clones of that plant because it's so good. Even Warren from Scissortail Solventless, who is a processor, whenever we smoked on it the first time we had cracked the bottle from on the hash rosin, he was like, dude, this flavor is so unique. It's so orangey and delicious. I'm like, it is. So it's a really good plant for some good terp that's coming around again this year. And I've got enough plants of it that I probably will try to put it at S1 also. Now, you're right. I've always done a lot of fruity stuff because I love fruity stuff. I did the blueberry, had some great results for blueberry. I'll tell you what, Jordan, I don't know if I told you this, but there's a guy, Gin Traders is the guy on Instagram, but he DM'd me a couple months ago saying, hey, are you the creator of grape jelly? And I was like, yeah, I did that one. He said that's the best blueberry he's ever tasted since 20 years ago. And that grape jelly is DJ Short's blueberry F5 crossed to Humboldt County's blueberry muffin. So you got the two top blueberry guys, the blueberry muffin and DJ Shorts put together, and it came out really, really good. So I had some great success with the blueberries. I moved on into these cherry terps with this Very Cherry that I've got. It produces extremely loud terpy plants. Even in veg, the Cherry on a Grande produces great terpy plants. But we got into me and Kid Mac. Shout out to Kid Mac. Shout out to at Fatbeard Pothead, and shout out to Warren at Scissortail Solventless. We've got into some stinkers now, man. We got a GMO cross the Cap Junkie that produced some very good, stinky, offensive GMO rosin that I've almost smoked all of mine already. I got to get some more, but man, it produced great rosin. So I want to maybe get into a couple of stinkers because me and Warren Scissortail, we've always talked about getting a stinker going because we like the fruities. But so he bought this he got this GMO cross the Cab Junkie in clones, and we grew it out. washed it, pressed it, smoked it. It's so good. I'm sure that, you know, if you smelled it, you'd be like, yeah, that's a great GMO. And I'm sure there's lots of GMOers out there who could say, well, that GMO leans this way, you know, and not this way. I don't know enough about GMOs. I only know it stays in your nose. You know, your last podcast was talking about duck confit.
Oh yeah.
The girl that did that, she lived in Oklahoma. And
Have you not met Christina? I'm surprised you haven't crossed
no, I have
paths.
not met her. I have not met her that I'm aware of. Or maybe I have, and I just haven't
No,
put
I don't
it
think
all
so.
together.
We'll have to put this together. The meeting of the minds.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, and you had some of that, didn't I?
I
put
did.
some of that under your
Oh,
nose.
yes. It was a
Come on, tell the people.
I'm gonna start with the aftertaste. The aftertaste was like a burnt tar swampy thing. Like like there's nothing good about it except, you know, it's cannabis. You're like, that's unbelievable that I can get that stinky, you know, or gross or whatever.
Dude, I love
that's
that
the direction
raunch.
it went. So
I love that raunch.
That raunch is in this GMO. Not as raunchy as duck confit, but it was the raunchiest I go for.
It's different. GMO's way more palatable, dude. To me, GMO, like the only raunchy part of GMO is like it smells kind of like body odor, you know. But you know what body odor really borders on, Calyxx, which is delicious. Onions.
Oh yeah, for
body
sure.
odor and onions are very, very close to each other when you're smelling something, and one makes you kind of gag, and the other is a delicious ground vegetable that we all know and love.
Yeah.
So you know, I would say GMO is definitely a funky strain.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I would consider it foul because it's pretty palatable to me. It smells like yummy, like onions.
Yeah. You know, if you gave that GMO to my wife to smell, it'll snap her head back. She'll be like, oh my gosh, that's disgusting. You know what I'm saying? So to the outside world, that junk stinks really, really bad. Like it doesn't smell good to them.
Do you like blue cheese?
I love some Roquefort. I guarantee you that, baby.
Listen, you put blue cheese under some people's nose and they'll have a freak out.
Yeah, I love cheese.
So I love blue cheese, man. Give me sauerkraut, kimchi, all that, all that
come
stuff.
on, I love all that, dude. When I went to Spain a few years ago for school, and we went up into these hills to this monastery where they made cheese, and the cheese logs that they showed us had just shrunk in the middle because maggots were eating it. Whoa. And they're like, it's delicious. Eat the maggots. It's got the cheese in it. And dude, we were eating that cheese. I didn't eat a lot, but I ate a couple little dillies worth, and those maggots were alive. But it was stinky but creamy sweet when you ate it.
Oh shit, that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah,
whoa, dude, you topped me on that one. I was like, I like gorgonzola. And then you tell the worm story. What the hell?
No,
that's crazy.
Good stinky cheese is yummy.
You think it's a coincidence that you ate those worms and then now you're compelled to breed black soldier flies? Do you think that's just a coincidence, or you think that they
No, dude, but I loved it. I remember when I was seeing it, I was fascinated with it. I'm like, oh, look at this. This is crazy. They're eating our food and we're eating them eating our food.
Oh my goodness.
Like, wow. You wouldn't want to do that with a black soldier fly.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't. That is really interesting though, man. I would have to take a bite of the cheese, of course. But okay, so you got some funkier stuff that you might be working on. I remember you telling me about that. That's fantastic. And anything else as far as breeding updates? Any other teasers?
Let's see. I've got
anything you're buying. You said you were buying seeds. Are you buying any cannabis seeds?
No,
and if so, no.
I don't usually buy. Dude, I have like you do. I'm sure I have boxes and boxes and boxes just full of seeds that have come through trades, have come through purchases of me. But often it's just people saying, "Hey, you want to trade?" Like, yeah, dude, I'll send you some. Send me some. Or people breed my stuff, send me seeds back to me and things like that. You know, being real nice. So I don't really ever grow other people's stuff. I do. I can't say that. I do every once in a while, but I can't even remember the last thing I grew like from seed from somebody else. I always grow my own stuff because I'm breeding and I'm like, okay, so what's next? You know, in Gasoline Alley, I've got what we call legendary cherry, which is cherry on a grande cross the peach pistols crossed back to cherry on a grande. And they were reg seeds, but I found two beautiful females and I've got them going. So there's a lot of my own stuff that I create in the summertime that typically gets grown out and flowered in the wintertime, but this is the first time in a while that I didn't flower in winter because of said circumstances with the breakers and stuff. But
breaker.
The one thing that I always would like to grow is that blueberry muffin from Humboldt County, dude. I just freaking love that taste of that sucker.
Oh yeah.
It always delivers.
Yeah, people love that.
That's a good one. There's a purple pheno and a green pheno. I don't know if I didn't never know this until a few years ago, but I knew this was happening, but I didn't know like everybody knew it was happening. There's like a green pheno and a purple pheno, and one plant will be green the whole time. The bud's not very colorful, but it's the most blueberry smelling. And then you get the purple pheno, which has these pretty purple buds, and it's not as strong as the green pheno. And you will see both of those if you grow out enough packs of blueberry muffin. You'll start to see it. I've run out many packs of that.
That's awesome, man. I would love to see you get some more blueberry going. All of your blueberry work is really delicious, so can't get enough. Would love to see more. So what's coming up for this year? Obviously, we have the Natural Farming Immersive.
Yeah.
Tickets are on sale for day one right now at growcast.com. Now, if you came to last year's, don't grab tickets for day one. We got a special offer for you guys on day two for returning folks. But if you heard about the Natural Farming Immersive and you didn't make it, come on down to day one. You will absolutely love it. It's an incredible class. I look forward to it, thinking about it all the time. And we were just talking about how we're going to improve it, make it even better.
Yeah.
So come on down, everybody. Growcast.com. You can grab the tickets right now. But other than the class, Calyxx, what else is going on this year?
We've doing, let's see, I've done all of Matt Powers' shows, the Our Soil, Our Future. The last one, I think you can still watch it for free at Our Soil. I did my composting mine manure for healthy mental soil was what I talked about. And just talk about mental health. It was a big issue in my life, and I think it's important for me to constantly be aware of my mental health. And so I wanted to just give everybody a heads up at the beginning of the year that counseling is always a good thing. Cognitive behavioral therapy changed my life, and then just helping others gets you out of your own head. Just finding somebody who needs some help, go helping them. You're going to feel better about yourself already. And so I enjoy getting to do some talks like that. I'll probably be doing the Mushroom Festival coming up again this year. That's always a good one. I can't wait. Yeah, you're always here. You're always at that one. It's a good one, man.
It's way worth it.
Seeing those mushrooms and cool stuff like that. Summer growing, man. We might try to do a couple of little classes out here at my house for local people, just when gardening starts to happen. Just having a $20 or $50 deal coming out, showing you what to do, taking home some things, and just really it's just honing in my own teaching skills is what it would be, and getting my neighbors to get going. Oh, that's one thing, dude. I got my neighbor getting into organic gardening.
Yeah.
This is the guy that hooked me up with cannabis when it was illegal. The only dude that knew I used cannabis was this cat that lives over here by me. And now I'm teaching him how to grow humongous plants because he got a taste of hash rosin. I told him last summer, I was like, listen, we're going to grow some fatties, and you're going to grow my strains, and we're going to have it washed, and you're going to learn how to smoke rosin. And dude, he has totally switched over. He's got his bangers and his blowtorches and his dab tools now, and he don't ever smoke flower anymore. But I'm teaching him how to, he's made IMO 1, he's made IMO 3, he's made fermented plant extract, labs, JLF. He's just getting into it. He's at that stage where it's like everything is a new avenue of exploration. And it's so fun, the knowledge you can gain at this stage. Anyway, it's fun teaching him. So that's something new. I've showed his garden a couple times on some stories on Instagram, but we'll see some results that he's going to get from growing naturally now. We've been working his garden for months now. I've been showing him how to crack up all his acorns, pecans, getting them in the soil, keeping his leaves, making labs, dumping it all over. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good little experiment.
Great. Getting new people started, man. That's what it's all about. That's what I'm focused on so much right now, dude. Yeah, it's important, man. Super important to get that spreading. So spread it like wildfire, man. I love to hear it. Where can people find you? Where can people follow you? This episode was awesome, as usual.
Heck yeah.
And where can my people find you?
Well, first of all, your people always have, and I don't ever say this enough, Jordan, I always forget, and I apologize. Your people and my people, the Growcast Nation, they have codes that you can use on my webpage.
Yes. Let me give them out correctly.
Go ahead.
Code GROWCAST will save you 10% at OKCalyxshop.com. Yep. And members have a special code in the Patreon there that gets you 20% off site-wide. So people have been crushing those deals and stacking with the code, man.
Yeah, man.
Super, super thank you for giving my members a 20% off code.
Yes, and thank you to your members for coming to my place and looking around and shopping. And, if I ever put, like I put a good deal up during Christmas. I gave 50 seeds away for $50, 25 films, 25 eggs. And you buy that for $50 and then you use a 25 discount code,
40
man.
bucks.
Are
Less
you
than
kidding
$1
me?
a seed.
Yeah,
people
it's a
loved
heck
that.
of a deal.
People loved that shit, dude.
And if you're a breeder like me, dude, then number one, I have a principle in life to be generous. So, and if you're a breeder, you have so many seeds that you get to be generous. And so, you doing seeds like that's something fun. That you get your genetics to people, you make them happy. Yeah, you make a little bit of money, but that's super duper duper cheap on good genetics. So don't miss out on my sales, man. I make them cheap and I give you a lot of stuff. I send lots of freebies. I send you seeds. I send you stuff that I don't mention at all. You get all kinds of cool, fun stuff in my boxes. Go to OKCalyxshop.com. Check out the genetics. Check out the inputs. Go to Instagram, OKCalyxx, OKCalyxx Genetics. My email is okcalyx@gmail.com. You might hear the common theme of OKCalyxx. It's pretty easy, man. I kept OKCalyxx and everything. Another thing that our biodiversity live show, I want to mention it. It's on MI Beneficials YouTube page on Friday nights at 8 Central. Me, MI Beneficials, Rubber Ducky, Isopods get together and talk to wonderful people like Jordan. He was on 2 weeks ago with us, did a excellent show. He brought the Growcast Nation with him. We had a great audience. He did some excellent, just simple helps, tips, and tricks for your grow, and I learned a ton. It was a really good show. So go watch our new, or not our new, but our YouTube show on MI Beneficials YouTube page, Friday nights, 8 Central. We had some great guests on there.
Hell yeah, brother.
And man, that's about it. My goodness.
That's a lot,
What
man.
a
It's all
fun talk
OKCalyxx.
again. What a fun talk.
Great episode, man. I can't thank you enough. I'm super excited about this year. Keep crushing it. Keep crushing it with the natural inputs, with the breeding, with the show. We appreciate you and all you do.
You too, man. I appreciate you a whole lot. You whole
got
team.
it. See you soon, man. We'll be able to take a dab really soon.
All right.
And I hope to see you soon, members. Go to growcast.com. See everything we're doing. We got the Cultivators Cup coming up 4/12. I hope you can make it up to that, Calyxx. That would be amazing to have you there.
I hope I can. You know that we're trying. There's a plan in place to maybe do it.
We're already getting close to halfway sold out, so go ahead and grab those tickets immediately, and it's going to be better than ever. Growcast.com. Check it out. Jump in membership. I'd love to have you there. And until next time, this is OKCalyxx and Jordan Rivers signing off, saying be safe and never grow alone. Bye-bye, everybody.
See you guys.
That's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to OKCalyxx for coming on the show. Thank you to the members. Congratulations to Sherm, the first ever Grand Pheno Hunt champ, just got crowned. That's amazing. Go to growcast.com/hunt before February 15th. You need to be in there because we are starting Grand Pheno Hunt Round 2. You don't want to miss it. Check it out, everybody. growcast.com/hunt. That is the most important thing that we have going on this spring-ish, early this year, let's say. And you're not going to want to miss it. Very, very excited about Round 2 in the Grand Pheno Hunt. Find more info at growcast.com/hunt. Special thank you to Rooted Leaf Nutrients. RootedLeaf.com, code GROWCAST for 20% off. No pH nutrients. Fantastic nutrient line. We appreciate you, Rooted Leaf. That's all for today, though, folks. Stay tuned. Of course, we've got the Colt Cup in April. We've got the hunt going on. You can find all that at growcast.com. And I hope to see you in membership. But I'm just grateful that you tune in and listen to the show. Hope you're doing amazing in your gardens. I will continue to bring you content here and elsewhere. So don't touch that dial. Love you all. Take care. Be safe. Bye.
The one thing that I don't like to do when I'm growing plants is have a long veg, because I feel like after a while you're asking for it. It's like eventually something's coming your way.